Since I was a child, I was always afraid of looking in the mirror for too long. I've heard some stories of Bloody Mary coming through the mirror when you call her name 3 times. Or if you stare hard enough in the mirror, it can take your soul and replace it with a demon. All rubbish. I lived in a small town, so rumors always ran rampant. And not just from the adults. The kids used to tease me and lock me in the bathroom and turn off the light. I could never face the mirror hanging high, all the way down to the floor, for more than a minute, if most. By the time they would let me out, I was screaming in tears that I was going to get myself. The other kids didn't understand that's because they didn't see what I see. If I looked in the mirror for more than a moment, my face would begin to distort, and this huge, unhuman smile would come all over my face. It was terrifying. So much so that it would begin to rip the skin around my mouth, and it became a huge gaping hole. But my eyes were transfixed on mine. It got so bad once that my mouth began to sting as I watched myself in the mirror, the ungodly image of myself staring back at me. So, since year 1, I've always been afraid of mirrors. But now, I'm 22, I'm living by myself, I have a great job and great friends. I moved away from that town as soon as I hit 18 and left the bullies and the mirrors behind. Now, saying that I do have one mirror in my apartment, it's usually just the bathroom mirror. And when I'm not using it quickly, I then cover it by a cloth. I know. It sounds strange, and my new friends, they joke and curse me out for it, but to be fair, I never told them about my smiling image back when I was a kid. That's probably why they are trying to take care of my fear and scare it out of me, maybe. I find out tomorrow what they have in store for me. So, I felt the need to tell my friends about the experiences I had had as a child. And it didn't deter them from cursing me. I begged and pleaded that they wouldn't try, but they assured me I'd be fine. Like ripping a Band-Aid off, John said. I remember that shit still hurting like a bitch, regardless of how fast you did it. So, John and Alex, my 2 best friends, they were the ones that were pushing me to do this. We took a long drive, longer than I expected, and we finally arrived at what looked like an abandoned warehouse. Straight away, I was like, nope, not happening. But they managed to coax me out of the car, get me to walk a little further, and the next thing I knew it, I was at the door. Now, this is gonna cure your fear, said Alex. Totally. You're gonna be fine as soon as you get through this. We're here every step of the way, John proclaimed. Me? I said nothing. I just hoped this night would end, and end well. But, I'm an adult. What am I to be scared of? kids' tricks, kids' rumors. I started to get angry in myself for thinking that I'd possibly put some part of my life off for this. But I still had that raging fear inside my stomach when you just know that something wrong is happening. John pulled back the door, and the amount of dust that came out nearly choked us all out. I followed meagerly behind John and Alex. It seemed to be an empty warehouse. Apart from all the way down the other end, there were a couple of boxes all covered in dust, and what I believed to be a mirror with a dirty old sheet over it. They walked me up to it, and I could feel my steps getting heavier as I got closer. Like my body knew, and it didn't want to move. It didn't want to go forward. They stood me in front of the mirror, and John managed to find a chair from somewhere covered in dust, and he put it behind me and told me to sit. So I did, reluctantly. They both stood in front of me, either side of the mirror, and smiled at me as if they were about to show me the best birthday present I've ever seen. I, at this point, was gritting my teeth, holding on to that chair for dear life. Now, the plan was to unveil the mirror to me. John and Alex were going to stand there for a minute to make sure nothing supernatural happened, to kind of prove me wrong. And then they were going to walk out, leave me for a 5-minute schedule. They were going to time it on their phone. Come back in, stand next to the mirror again to prove to me again that nothing's happening and it's all in my head. And I would be cured, and I would go home and want to go to IKEA the next day and buy every mirror they have. That was the plan. They both gave me a hug, one after the other. Alex first, saying, "You've got this, girl." And then John, saying, "You can't be afraid of yourself forever." I guess he was right, in some kind of way. So they left me. They walked out of the door and left me in front of that goddamn mirror for 5 minutes on my own. I continued to stare at it. It continued to stare back at me. I even got to the point where I was feeling, pretty stupid at myself. Why am I so scared of this? Nothing's happening. Maybe it was all in my imagination. And as these thoughts whizzed around my head, I caught a glimpse of something. I blinked when I wasn't blinking. I began to stare, and slowly my image would move. Very tiny movements, as if unless you were looking, you wouldn't notice them. A slight curl of the mouth, a blink, a nose flare. But I knew it. I recognized it. I knew that wasn't me in the mirror. I knew it. So, I sat there and I watched it. I watched it look at me and try and analyze me and all of my movements. I didn't know what to do. So I sat there and I let it happen. As I did, this thing began to smile again. That blood-piercing smile that rips my mouth from side to side. The blood just gushing between the teeth, but still smiling. Again, I could feel the sting around my mouth, and I knew I wasn't crazy then. I knew that this was real and it was happening to me. 4.5 minutes in, and nothing terrible had happened. Just the shock of my life, the realization that I'm not as crazy as I thought I was. 5 minutes. Alex and John come in, and I turn to welcome them. But my reflection doesn't, and it catches them off guard. They stop in their tracks. What's that? Alex asked, panicked. What? Why is your face staring at us in the mirror if you're looking at us here? It all just came into place so quickly, so easily. Why hadn't I have done this when I was a child? Why didn't I just embrace it? I smiled. Yeah, it stung. But I'm pretty sure it didn't sting as much as it did when I threw a shard of glass into Alex's neck. I threw it from the mirror, but yet the mirror was still intact. John wept and tried to run, so I severed his ankles with the glass from the mirror. He fell like a giant, hitting all that dirt, having it rise up against him. He started crying. He didn't know what this was. Why? What had happened? I got up and I wheeled the mirror all the way to him, and I held it to his face in place where he could see both of us, myself and my mirror image, side by side. He still had such confusion. So I felt the need to elaborate. John, don't be scared. It's only me, your friend. This is my friend from another world, another dimension. Hell, another religion. Who knows? My friend just wants you to believe in her, like I did all these years. He scoffed. He rubbed his face on the dirt, his tears and snot running down his face. He couldn't get up a whole lot. Just up to his knees. And rubbing his nose, he looked at both of us. One after the other. After the other. And he asked one simple question. What are you? Well, that was an easy question, but I'll give it to you. See, I am me, 100% the girl you always knew. Me in the mirror is the girl I've always wanted to be. She owns all my hate, all my fear, all my anguish, all the murderous tendencies I've held back my entire life to be normal. She has been waiting for me to see her, to really see her. And now that I have, she is a part of me, and I am a part of her. And with that swift moment, I lunged the last piece of mirror into John's neck and watched him bleed out. And again, the mirror was perfect. No cracks, no dents, no bits missing. Who knew where this extra glass came from? We were in the middle of nowhere. Just me and my mirror image. This right here was gonna be the beginning of our adventure. We were no more scared of mirrors than we were of people. We were not going to let anybody stand in our way ever again. And we are going to find every single insect of a person who ever thought it funny to lock me in a room or to make me cry or to hit me, leave a bruise. We are on a vendetta to cleanse myself and my mirror image. So watch out. If you ever pushed me a little bit too far, it might be the right time that I push back onto glass. Hey guys, my fallen angels here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like. If you want to send me a DM on Twitter, my Twitter is My Fallen Angels D. If you have a story of your own that you'd like to share and have me narrate, then do drop me a message. And of course, feel free to comment on any of my videos, good or bad, I can take it. And subscribe. Subscribe. And we will get to know each other a hell of a lot better. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Good night.